So I want to share a dream that I had this morning. Just before I woke up, not too long before I woke up, I dreamt that a lady I know who is not a Christian sent me an email, and she said, I have to share this with you. I don't know why, but I had to tell you about either a dream she had or something, but just that she had to tell me about these 3 things, and I don't remember what they were. All I remember is there was 3 things, and it was like, I think they were all the same, but she had to tell me for some reason. And so I was kind of shocked, because I'm like, okay, this is weird. This lady, she knows I'm a Christian, she knows I love Jesus, but she doesn't talk about him ever, and she doesn't like talking about God. So anyway, I'm gonna read Joel chapter 2 verse 28 and 29, because this is the scripture that came to mind after I had the dream. And it will come about after this, that I will pour out my spirit on all mankind, and your sons and daughters will prophesy, and your old men will dream dreams, and your young men will see visions. And even on the male and female servants I will pour out my spirit in those days. And this is also in Acts 2, chapter 2, verse 17, and how God is going to pour out his spirit on all flesh in the last days. And I find this really interesting and amazing, because I feel like God is explaining this verse to me in this dream this morning. So I just sensed that God is going to use people, no matter who they are, to help his bride, to help the remnant, whether they like him or not. And it's pretty amazing, but it also makes me really sad, because these people just don't want anything to do with him. And then I'm brought back to the earlier part of this this chapter, which is in verse 11. And the Lord utters his voice before his army. Surely his camp is very great, for strong is he who carries out his word. The day of the Lord is indeed great and very awesome, and who can endure it? Yet even now declares the Lord. And this is what I feel is happening, and that we need to return to God. And I feel like been feeling like this for a long time, since I became a believer about 12 or 13 years ago. And it says, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning, and rend your heart and not your garments. Now return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in loving kindness, and relenting of evil. And who knows whether he will not turn or relent, and leave a blessing behind him, even a grain offering and a libation for the Lord your God. Blow a trumpet in Zion, consecrate a fast, proclaim a solemn assembly, gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and the nursing infants. Let the bridegroom come out of his room, and the bride out of her bridal chamber. Let the priests of the Lord minister, weep between porch and altar. And let them say, spare thy people, O Lord, and do not make thine inheritance a reproach, a byword among the nations. Why should they among the people say, where is their God? And so I am just sad and crying out, and which we all need to do, for people who don't know God, and even for ourselves, that we would stay pure, and that we would stay knowing who he is, And yeah, so I'm throwing this out there, and if you sense anything about what I said or feel I'm in error, please feel free to say something, because I am not even close to perfect, and we all need each other. So here it is. And pray for the people that don't know who God is, don't know who Jesus is, and cry out for their salvation, and cry out that we would be found worthy. Okay, be blessed in Jesus' name.